Well, O.H. Budge was my grandfather, and I was pretty young when he died, I think, when I was up in Yellowstone spraying trees for the Forest Service. He died. I gave him, the year before, I gave him a pillow that says, "You're my favorite grandfather." And then I went and sprayed trees for the Forest Service. And that year he died. So it was 1965, I think. I might be wrong, but about 1965. And I really don't remember a lot about him. The Budge family didn't have a lot of reunions like most families do. We just had very few get-togethers. His OH's family was kind of distant, where they didn't meet a lot. And what I remember, the first time I remember anything about him was when I was about 7 or 8 years old. He used to live on 4th North and up by the university, just right at the foot of the university on 4th North, in a white house there. He lived with his son, which is my uncle, Wendell Budge. And when I was real young, my dad brought me over, and O.H. Budge lived in a room. What they did, they got a room on the west side of the house, and Wendell and his wife lived on the east side. And then on the west side was a little room that they made into a little apartment right there. It had one door coming in, a little door. And for some reason, my dad asked me to come and stay with him one time. I don't know why. I can't remember why. But I remember seeing Grandpa. My dad brought me down there and opened the door, and Grandpa was sitting there. And I was nervous, because I was used to staying home, and it was really made me kind of nervous, But I guess there was some kind of a reason why. But I went there and stayed with him overnight, 1 or 2 nights, and I can't remember what it was. But it was really enjoyable because I got to know him a little bit. That he was just he was a serious man in a way, in his eyes and stuff like that. Except he was very kind. At that time, I remember the first morning we got up and he got breakfast out, and he got some cereal out. I was kind of hungry, and he got some cereal out, probably cornflakes or something like that. And then he poured water on the cereal. And I was kind of shocked because I always have milk on my cereal. And he poured water on it. And I could never figure why. I ate it because I was embarrassed to tell him I didn't like it. I ate it and it was awful. But I smiled and ate it. And then come to find out later, my dad told me that he was allergic to milk. He had a problem, that he didn't, and for some reason he didn't tell me at all. He just put water on it. He thought I would like it, but I didn't. It wasn't very good. And then, he talked to me a lot, and we went for little walks, and we come back one couple hours later one time, and he pulled out a big box, and it was full of coins. It was full of coins. See, O.H. Budge was the mission president in Germany before Hitler took over. When they was in Germany, my dad was 16 years old, and my dad actually proselyted on the mission field, and they knew Hitler. They seen Hitler going down the street, and this is just before the war, where it was a little dangerous for them to be there. But the Germans, according to my dad, were trying to get to make good relations with Americans, because they didn't want Americans to come into the war, or after they got going. So some of the big dignitaries of German, the right-wing party, Himmler was one of them. Himmler, as you remember, wasn't a very good man in the German army, but he would come over on Sundays and have lunch with my grandfather, O.H. Budge, and my dad and their family, and eat with them. And the history of Himmler. It wasn't really good what him and Hitler did. But and one time my O.H. Budge. I'm slipping weight a little bit to my dad now, but during that time that O.H. Budge was the president of the mission of Germany, my dad was out on the streets proselyting with another missionary, and the Gestapo arrested my dad and took him to jail. And my dad knew very good German. He went to school, actually. He went to school in Germany. And he told him, he says, told the people in the jail, and he says, I know Himmler, and you better let me go because I know Himmler. And the jailmen there and the people in charge of the jail, the police station, were laughing at my dad, saying, "Oh yeah, he knows Himmler, and they kept laughing at my dad. He said, "I do know him. I do. Call Himmler," and they laughed. At 3 in the morning, that morning that he got arrested, my dad, one of the head policemen there decided to call Himmler's assistant, not Himmler himself, because that would have been really bad, but he called Himmler's assistant and says, "Look, do you know Bob Budge, O.H. Budge's son? Do you know Robert Budge?" And they told the guy, said, "Let him go right now. And so the policeman come back and unlocked it immediately and let him out and drove him to their home and let him out and told him they were sorry and then let him go back to his house on that. But anyway, Omer Budge, you show what kind of character he was. He was a leader all of his life. He was a leader in the community. He was a dentist, actually. Omer Budge started out as a dentist, and there was a lot of doctors in the Budge family, and O.H. Budge, I keep saying Omer, O.H. Budge was one of the first dentists in Logan area, and he started the Budge block. It's down by the Tabernacle in Logan. If you across the street from the Tabernacle, on the corner there's a building that says Budge block, and up in the upper level, he had a dentist office there, and most everybody in Logan went to see him, pretty well, because there wasn't very many doctors in those days. And he helped kind of get the Logan Hospital going. That was when the Idaho and Utah Hospital was up by the temple. It was kitty corner to the Logan Temple, kitty corner on the northeast corner. You go kitty corner across there where the parking lot is. That used to be the Logan, Idaho Temple. The Logan, Idaho Hospital, in which my O.H. Budge helped get it going. And then O.H. Budge, when I was, back to my story, when I was living with him when I was young, just for a couple of days, he pulled out a box full of coins. That's what I was getting at, actually. He had a lot of German coins, and that's the story I was getting at, that he was over in Germany. He had a lot of foreign coins, Polish coins, Swedish, and just all types of kind of old coins. And I loved coins in those days. And he asked me, he says, do you like coins? And I said, yeah, I collect them. And he said, well, he gave me a big handful of them. He grabbed his hands and pulled a whole handful up and put them in a sack. He didn't look which ones. He just pulled them out and dumped them in a sack and gave them to me. And I kept them ever since then. In fact, I told him I was collecting coins, and I think that's probably the reason he did that. And later on, the same coins, I told myself that whenever one of my grandkids asked me if they had a coin collection, if I had any old coins, I would give them all that he gave me, that I didn't want to keep them, So Daxton Budge, Ryan Budge's, my grandson, Daxton, came up to me one day and says, "Grandpa, I'm collecting coins. Do you have some coins?" And so I went and grabbed the same sack that he gave me. The coins were, well, I had them. I had a friend label them, how valuable, if they were valuable, or a lot of them weren't real valuable. They were just older coins, But they were labeled by country, and I gave them to Daxton because that's what I told him I was going to do. And he was the first one that asked me for the coin, and Daxton has them today, I guess.